This is the Illiac Suite, a podcast on AI-driven music. Join me as we dive into the ever-evolving world of AI and music, where algorithms become the composers and machines become the virtuosos. Yes, this music and text was written by a computer, and I am not real. But
I am, and my name is Dennis Kastrup. Hello humans, welcome to a new episode about the crazy world of AI and music. The world that just turns round and round and round and faster and faster. The world that, since my last episode, announced that Universal Music Group, Sony Music Entertainment and Warner Records are suing Suno and Udio, which in their opinion, quote, violated their copyright en masse. We will see where this will lead us and how long it will take us that a court will decide about it. I imagine years. Or how long it will take the different parties to agree on something that suits both of them and maybe not in the end, unfortunately, the musicians. Story to be continued. I keep you updated here in the Illiac Suite. Let's talk about today. I looked at the recent episodes of the Illiac Suite some days ago and thought it has been a while since I have talked to those who make music with AI instead of all the companies that develop AI to make music or support music. Does that make sense? We had Voice Swap, Fairly Trained, Delphos or AudioShake on the show, but Portrait XO and Benoit Carré were the last musicians here some months ago, who talked about creating music. That's why I reached out to the Italian alexbraga. He is a musician, a conceptual artist, an inventor and entrepreneur. Some years ago he published an album called Spleen Machine. To be precise, 2020 was that. I already back then, before the great AI hype, was fascinated by his approach and what he thinks and says about AI. As he has new projects going on, I was curious to know more about that. For the first time in the Illiac Suite, I will leave you alone with the whole interview I recorded. I decided to do that because I really loved our conversation and I was unable to cut out some answers because it just made sense together. So here it is, my talk with alexbraga, and the music you will hear and you are already listening in the background all comes from his new installation, Automatic Impermanence. Curious? He will tell you more about this now. I've been following you now since a couple of years. We've had an interview 5 years ago, I think, 6 years ago maybe. Tell us a little bit about you, what you're doing, and especially focusing, of course, on your work with AI.
Hey, I've been researching in AI for the last 10 years, I think. I've always been interested into this topic because technology, to me, has always been the key to be able to overcome my limits as a musician. I'm not a very talented, skilled, virtuoso instrumental musician. So I've studied the conservatory and I've studied guitar. But as a matter of fact, as most electronic musicians, I play keyboard on stage. So let's say that I am not that of a pianist. So the computer and the technology for me has always been a super amazing key to use, let's say, my soul and my brain as an instrument and not really my hands, which I think it's far more interesting because it opens up a wider range of possibilities that all, of course, they go beyond the instrument itself. And ever since I discovered the potential of artificial intelligence, I told myself, wow, this is the revolution I was looking for. The revolution that it's, for me, the same revolution that the people back in the 18th century experienced when they invented the pianoforte. which was a super amazing revolution. The cembalo was before the pianoforte back then, but the cembalo is a completely different instrument, meaning that it's not loud, it doesn't have dynamic, and blah, blah, blah. And so the pianoforte completely changed the spectrum of emotions that the musician could offer to his compositions and to the audience. And then it started the Romantic movement. And we all know Mozart and Beethoven and the late Bach. They were the virtuosos of this new amazing technology. And so we lived in an era where pretty much everything was invented and everything had been done already. And so when artificial intelligence popped up, I said to myself, wow, this is it. This is it. This is not a technology that is going to destroy humanity. But if we do get the right mindful way to interpret this thing, we can really live the edge of a super exciting revolution. Mm-hmm. And so I started to dig deep into it. I was one of the first musicians to do that, one of the first artists to use artificial intelligence. I built myself with two professors of the university in Rome an artificial intelligence, which is very special and very peculiar.
And you used it for your album. That's what you did.
Yes, and I used it ever since to produce and compose. It's an extension of me.
And it's part of the new stuff also, right now?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So maybe explain to us, what does this AI do?
This AI, since it's not trained, it's like a second and a third and a fourth and a fifth skin for you as a musician when you play. So it detects what you are playing, and it keeps adapting and gives you all the possibilities and all the feedback that you are not playing in that very moment. So I have 10 fingers. Let's put it very simple. When I play the keyboard, I can play just 10 notes in one stroke or hit. And with the artificial intelligence, I can bring this up to plus infinite, and it's still me. But it's not that me in that very moment. It's like what that me could have done but didn't do. Okay? You get me?
So it learns from what you have played before.
It learns in real time from what you are doing in that real very moment. So it's every time starts from fresh, with no prejudice at all, with no learning and no knowledge of music, which is very important, because otherwise it would bottleneck you into a tunnel where maybe you don't want to go. It's basically yourself multiplied by the number of neural networks that I'm using in that moment. Usually it's 16 neural networks that I use in real time. So it's me playing plus other 16 me's, giving me back the feedback of myself, but not myself. And so I can orchestrate in real time these very deep layers of music that are also influencing the next steps that I am taking in that very moment. So it's basically a super hyper loop of creative feedback that I am doing with myself, basically augmenting my ego and augmenting my myself, timing myself per the neural networks that I'm able to switch on in the machine. And this thing also creates the visuals. So every time I hit a note, there is a particle in a 3D space that it's popping up. So pretty soon, there is an architecture of music coming from myself and all my other selves. And there's an architecture of particles coming from what I am playing. And all this thing interacts, creating what I call augmented music, and an augmented art and an augmented dimension where I can float freely and just do whatever I feel like doing in that moment.
Mm-hmm. Help me here on the technical side. I mean, I understand that it augments you, that it takes what you do as a musician and learns from you as a musician what you do. But how does the AI then create new stuff? Because it has to have an. I mean, if you just play a melody, it's not. For me, an AI needs a lot of data to create something new. How does it do it?
Wait, AI by itself cannot generate and create. Creation is a human skill and is a unique skill that we have, and that we must be sure that we foster as one of the most precious treasures that we can have. And there's a particular reason for that. It's because AI, the so-called deep learning, deep trained models, they learn from what you've been feeding them. So you feed them thousands and thousands of hours of music. Let's stay on the music. Let's focus on the music because it comes easier with the examples. You feed the AI with thousands and thousands of classical music, and what AI can do in the most optimistic result is give you a manipulation of this and give you a reproposition of the same data that she's being trained, or it has been trained on. And
a new version.
And not a new version, it's just a different angle. It's nothing new. There's no new things. So
another version of the data.
Of the data. Yeah. Another point of view. You can read data in many different ways. You can read a score in many different ways. As a matter of fact, the job of the conductor in an orchestra is to interpret the score, and the score can sound dramatically different if it's directed by Muti or von Karajan. It can sound dramatically different. And because this is angles, point of views. And what AI does, it's just doing that. And it cannot create nothing new. It's just a mimic of what has been. If we believe that is new, it's just because we have limits in our knowledge, limits in our perception, and we are superficial in terms of thinking what the web is giving us as feeding us. So it's very fascinating to think and believe that AI is generating new things. No, that doesn't happen. Machine don't create, machine don't make art, machine don't generate nothing new. Okay?
But then here comes the argument. A lot of tech people always say, then everything we do as human is also something new, because we also have been experiencing other music. I mean, that's the argument of the tech companies, and they say, like, you've been doing this all of your life. That's the same thing. So in the end, we humans don't create something new also?
We do create, but in a different way. And because we are shaped in a very, very different way. And this comes, here comes the interesting part. We call it artificial intelligence, and we are shifting the whole process of our being up here in the head, which is a very dreadful mistake we should not do, because the act of creation doesn't come from our head. We as human beings have a specific role in our life, and because we are the chain of conjunction between the infinite that is above our head, which we can call universe, and the infinite, the micro-infinite, which is inside ourselves, in the stomach. And here where the fun part comes in. It's a medical thing. Are you familiar with the theories of macrobiome and microbiota?
Not really, no.
Inside,
Help me.
inside our stomach live billions of colonies of bacteria that represent the infinite of of the creation. So there's inside you, Dennis, inside your stomach, there is the trace of every single process that has been going on since the Big Bang. This is what I call
I heard about this a little bit now. I remember, yeah.
This, and you hear it inside yourself. That's why you are a magic wand, and you are the balance between the universe and the infinite small. And your role is to make these two things resonate and get in conjunction with the metaphysical world and get the glimpse of the intuition of the new, the divine touch that comes from these two things. And I don't believe in God, don't get me wrong. I am very spiritual, and I really have all my super strong beliefs of metaphysical world, but I'm not a Catholic person. But to be able to create, to be able to do this, it's a divine act that we are only able to do not because of our brain, not because of our intelligence, not the first intelligence, but what we call the second brain, which is in the stomach. And this thing, machines will never be able to do. Machine cannot see outside themselves. They don't have a consciousness. They might fake a consciousness. They might give you a sim, but that's going to be a sim. And there's no way out of it, Dennis. And so the enormous, ginormous, paradoxical difference between machines and human beings lies in our stomach and how we use the metaphysical connection. Machines will never be able to do that. We are conditioned by our morality, by our education. So we tend to limitate our visions in terms of what you have experienced before. And this is the argument of the big techs. But then the big techs miss the real big step, which is, hey, but I can free myself from that. I can study, I can raise my consciousness, and there's thousands of ways to do that. I use music, but you can use yoga, you can use love, you can use tantra and sex, you can use whatever you want. Machine will never be able to do that.
I mean, I'm always saying like nothing we can do is deconnected with the body. I mean, we feel bad. If we feel bad, if we experience something in our brain and we see something, we feel bad in the stomach. We can see the reaction of both things coming together. And in music, it's the same thing. You can feel it vibrating in your body, which is not just a reaction of the brain and listening to something. So I'm totally with you. And coming from this, what you just mentioned me, it's interesting. Yes, your fascination for AI with the project we just talked about was there, but what do you try to, because that's in your new work part of it, you try to, I don't know what you just told me, I also have the feeling you embrace that feeling a little bit into the new work you're doing, and to make AI kind of put it in a context where we believe there's something beautiful, we can do this, and not just something detached to humans. So maybe tell us a little bit what your new project is about and what you want to not achieve with it, but what is your hope for this project that will maybe reflect on other people?
I have no hope. It just works really well for me. That's why it's called automatic impermanence. The concept of impermanence, it's very familiar to whoever is familiar with yoga and the Oriental practice and spiritual life. So there is no future and there's no past. So there's only a sequence of nows. So we live in the now, and we should take all the advantages of this philosophy, meaning that regret is something that lives in the past, and stress and worrying is something that lives in the future, okay? There is no regret and no worries and no stress in the now, because there's nothing you can do about it. It's now, and you're living the now. So if you take away this equation, your life becomes amazingly simple and beautiful. And to be able to reiterate this sequence of nows into a pattern that is ever changing, for me requires a lot of skills, because you have to practice a lot. You have to do a lot of exercise, a lot of raising your consciousness and stuff like that. And for me, music and artificial intelligence is a artistic and spiritual way to achieve this. Of course, the concept of automatizing the impermanence for me means that the way I have designed Mint, which is the AI that I use, is to be able to reiterate the present in an ever-changing dimension. So nothing is ever the same, but nothing escapes from that, because we are finite in this world. But we look for the infinite in the finite world. How do we reach the infinite in boundaries? Reiterating the now. And I do it using artificial intelligence in this way. So it reiterates the moments, but it keeps changing, it keeps shifting, it keeps augmenting and layering. And I can get lost, and hopefully who's listening to my work and who's watching the live performances, which is a big part of my work, of course, because there's also the visual that is doing this, gets caught into the same process of the structuring his constraint of past, future, anxiousness, stress, regret, and gets squashed into a very powerful now that frees you into the infinite.
Mm-hmm. And can you describe this for me, like for somebody who was, I've seen the pictures, I've seen some video stuff, but you're the master of this piece, so you can describe it better, because I haven't seen it live, unfortunately, and I hope to see it live soon somewhere on this world, on this planet. Describe for me the different parts. There's this installation, and then there's this live performance. Describe for me what is happening there, and not just for me, but for the listeners, of course.
Yeah, of course. I'm going down a very awkward path, so I decided to do a record, but not to release a record. So the record is not on any algorithm-driven platform and centralized algorithm-driven platform, because I don't believe in that. I do believe that music and art is a sacred thing, and it's a sacred experience that you have to care for, and so it's, of course, the best thing for me is to experience it live. And I have designed this so that automatic impermanence can work as an installation. So there is a screen, a big screen, and a PA where the music is playing, and the music keeps shifting because there's the AI working. So I write the mother track, and then as the mother track goes on, all the other layers stack up and gives you this sense of being in a unique moment, because it's never going to be the same. If you listen to the music, of course it's a cycle, but if you listen to the next cycle, it's not going to be the same.
Okay.
So it keeps changing.
So it's like Amen. So it's
yes.
So it has
Amen.
a mother. You say it's a mother track, and then,
yes,
and this,
the mother track is typically the one that I compose.
Yeah.
So it's a melody, ba 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 bum 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 ba ba ba, because it's something that I feel like bringing up.
Yeah.
And playing this mother track, Amen starts multiplying myself, and so this ba 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 becomes a section of strings, and then becomes a super powerful synths, percussions, and other pianos, voices, and everything stacks up, and everything moves around the same moment of the now, but making it different all the time.
Every time.
And
so every time you experience it, somebody else experiences it, it's always different.
It's always different.
Okay.
And of course, when I play it live, it's the same, because every live is always different. There is a part that it's the same, it's the mother track, but what happens in the surrounding can drive me to a super dense, intense layer of music, or a super minimal pattern, depending on what I feel in that very moment, how the crowd reacts. But that means that every time is different. And here where comes the visual, which is completing in a very powerful way the whole concept, because speaking about creating universe and being the balance between different kind of microcosmos and huge infinite macrocosmos, there is a cosmos that is composing on the screen, and you see all the little particles, and these particles come from the music, but also come from
What do you mean
3D
computer music? They are...
every time I press a note, there is a particle that is born like a star in this new universe.
Okay.
So so if you think that the AI is also working on it, every time I press a key, there is 17 particles being born and being brought to life. And then they have a life in this cosmos, and they start to react with the music, and they start to attract and repulse, and creating hybrid shapes, changing their motion as the music is changing. And then there's also the 3D scanner. The 3D scanner takes your image and translates it into a cloud of points in a 3D space. So pretty soon, in the installation, when you enter the room, you as a spectator, your image is taken by the 3D scanner and is decomposed into this universe. So you start interacting with this cosmos, with your hands, with your movements, with whatever. So you actually become part of this process, okay? In the live show, at the moment, it's just me, because I am on stage. So we haven't implemented yet also a additional camera for the crowd. But at the moment, it's me dancing on stage and moving with the music and interacting with all the particles. So pretty soon, my idea of life that is decomposing into a single moment and recreating the infinite into a single boundary is perfectly represented on stage. by the music and by the visuals, because you are inside a new world and you can interact with it, and you can make it one particle, or you can make it a whole thick, rich dimension full of colors, and all depends on you, on what you do, on what is your decision in that very second and that very moment, how you decide to move, to interact with it.
Mm-hmm. And how does it make you feel to see this, let's call the AI, Ament, to say Ament working. How does it feel for you? You've been working now with it, with her, with him, whatever you want to call it, her or him, since 10 years or so, you said?
Yeah, pretty much.
And how is it evolving for you, and focusing now on this new pace? What is your attachment, and maybe also your feelings about this thing out there that is working with you now since many years? How did it develop, and also maybe in the context of what's happening today? I mean, there's so much AI around us right now. How did it evolve into what it is now, and how do you feel about it? And are there any fears, hopes, whatever?
Well, it's very amazing to perform with a mint, because it's like an exercise of clashing with your ego. So since it's not pre-fed with no knowledge of nothing, it's just you augmented, it's like you facing yourself in multiple ways. So it's really amazing, and it's really a leverage for the consciousness. I mean, because you're like, geez, this is what I can do. My possibilities can grow bigger and bigger and bigger. It's just take effort and consciousness, mindfulness, and knowledge, and there's no limit to what we can do. And in this sense, the frontier of art right now, it's super interesting, because we've never been on the verge of something like this, so big. But then there's the fear, and the fear it's not on AI and music. The fear is on AI and humanity, because if we don't use this wisely, it can easily destroy mankind. That we were talking before, how many things went on in this weekend. We forgot to mention the big one, the crash of the computers.
Yes.
And I think this is the most interesting thing for our conversation, even more than Biden resigning, because in that stupid thing, we understand how much humanity we have lost, and how much humanity we have to gain back really quickly if we don't want to destroy ourselves. Because, you see, I am an optimist, an optimistic person, and I can tell you, Dennis, AI is taking us on the verge of a new frontier of art. Mm-hmm. If I were a pessimistic person, I could tell you, Dennis, music is over. It's finished. Because once there's a machine, you can prompt to music, and this new hype. You write a prompt, and the machine farts out something that they call music. What is that doing? That is leveling it to the lowest level of mediocrity music, and it's filling up of mediocre data all the platforms that are stupid, and they work with an algorithm, and that is the verge of destroying music. So I am on the verge of discovering, not my view brings us all together on the verge of discovering new, amazing, fertile fields of art. But there's another very scary perspective, which is the verge of destroying everything because we drain everything out, like we're doing with the resources of our planet.
I think for the art side, there will be so many new things coming up and beauty and possibilities. And I'm really looking forward to see what's going to happen with the help of AI and what we can create as humans. And this is the most important thing, because no AI can write a song without humans. It's so even if an AI writes something, it's always humanity who's in there, what is in there. So it's based on human creations, who have been working on creation since hundreds, thousands of years. So this is, an AI cannot do something out of nothing. This is always important. But I'm also repeating on this podcast many times is like, I believe that there's a beauty, and but there's the danger also that this is for me the most danger, that the big tech companies will take all the art of the world and make a lot of money, and the artists will not profit from this. This is the only fear I'm having, and this is the danger. I think it's on the horizon.
And I fight a specific battle against this, and Mint has been designed as a statement to fight this, because the fact that it's not training brings you two very important points. First one, it doesn't drain energetic resources. Training the very first model of ChatGPT costed $80 million just of electricity. So running the model now, we are ChatGPT 4 and skyrocketing, and there's thousands of models now doing that. That's draining so much power from the world that it's insane. My model and my philosophy of AI doesn't do any of this. So it's just codes working at a very super low level, but in real time, and they're training on you in real time. So there's no electricity gap in that. It's just having one computer on.
Yeah.
That's a tremendous statement, super important, and I fight for that, and I will fight that till I die. Second one is, if you don't feed with somebody else's art, you're not stealing from anybody. So you build a sustainable artificial intelligence, because it's both climate positive sustainable and existentially sustainable, because there is no need of stealing and draining the culture that we have produced in order to augment yourself and produce more. Mm-hmm. And what's going to happen, this is what I call it, now we see machine hallucination. So we have the phenomena of AI hallucination, when an AI makes mistake and starts to hallucinate and gives you a result that could be right, but it's completely wrong. That's AI hallucination. Pretty soon I think, my theory is that we are going to see AI overdosing from data. Because what's happening? There is no more culture to drain. ChatGPT has drained 5,000 years of culture in 3 months? Mm-hmm. Okay, where do we go from there? Since we have stated, and me and you at least, and hopefully everybody that listens to your podcast, we do firmly believe that AI does not create anything new, which brings me to state AI doesn't make culture, okay? We have drained all the culture because ChatGPT has it all in the most horrific way. And where do we go next? You know where? All these hallucination and all these different point of views, but all of the same data, are the new models where the AI is training.
Yeah.
But it's nothing new.
No.
It's something that it's going to be sterile, and they're going to produce a huge overflow amount of useless data that are going to make the machine overdose. Mm-hmm. Because they're not going to take nobody anywhere, and they're not going to be useful in no ways to anybody. So in order to do that, we have to start right now to invest all the profits that it's made by all this tech in fostering culture. That's all we should worry about. All we should worry about is spending a shitload of money fostering new culture. And we don't do that because where we spend it in defense and weapons.
Yes, that's why in the end, culture, in music and culture, is also kind of connected to all that stuff where you just tap your head and say, why are we not giving the money to those people who really deserve it, who really should live by it, and not spend it on stuff which is destroying the world? Because that's the money is not where it's supposed to be. I totally agree with this, and this is a thing I think we have to fight most. We shouldn't fight AI. We should fight the fact that it is in the hands of people who don't use it the right way, and which comes always back to the point that whenever new technology comes up, it is not the technology, that's what people always say, that destroys stuff. It is the humans who use it. And I think that's what we should focus on. And if we focus too much on AI is destroying stuff, we're not focusing on the people behind the AI. And that's the most important thing. That's why I think it's important we talk about this and make people clear. And not people, because people still think, oh, there's an AI out there who does this and this. No, my friend. There's a human behind it. There are many humans. There are a million humans behind it who fed it and other humans who control it. It's not a ghost in somewhere who's doing stuff. It still reacts on what we say and what we give to it, what it will create. So it's always important to mention this throughout the time. So that's interesting what your AI is doing, because I believe we will have personal AIs in the future. I think everybody of us will have his or her personal AI feed just with her or his music, art, books or whatever, to help maybe the person who has been already working 20 years on something, has created a character, and then you feed. That's what Ament is doing. Then that's
what I've been doing for the past 10 years.
And then you feed your AI with your piece of work, and you can work with that what you have always been doing. And I think that's the direction where we will be going. That everybody maybe has its own AI, and at one point artists will be there. Oh, my AI is doing this, and my AI is doing this, and my creator is doing this. I have one question: like, if I would feed your Ament and play really bad piano, would it continue playing really bad piano?
Of course, it's going to be you multiplied by your really bad performance that you're doing. It is given the premises that we have stated in this amazing chat that we are having. It couldn't be anything else. I mean, AI doesn't correct, in my opinion. It has to be you and your capabilities multiplied by the extensions of your limbs, you know? And so if you play shit, it comes a shit, augmented shit. If you play beautiful art, it comes out augmented, amazing, beautiful art.
And the magic of art is that somebody who listens to my shit that I created makes something
They
beautiful.
would love your shit. Yeah.
That's how art works. Take some
Of
shit
course.
and create something golden on diamonds out of this. That's how it goes. That's how art goes.
Yeah.
And
But in order to do that, we have to make no compromise, and we have to start investing in the only wise investment that we can make at the moment. We have spent the last 200 years or something in history investing in efficiency. So humans became machines, and it was good. I mean, the more you produce, the better you are in society. The more you earn, the better you are. Isn't that our model?
Yeah.
And then comes artificial intelligence that rings the bell and says, "Hey man, hey woman, hey humanity, mankind, I am 1 billion times more efficient with just one click."
Mm-hmm.
So what do you do now? Either you invest in your humanity, or you're fucked. There is no way out.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it's also a super amazing opportunity that we have to raise our hands and say, we were wrong. We invested in the wrong field. And now there is so much talent out, and we are risking to waste all this talent because people then get depressed, they don't make it, and they just locked inside their tiny little cages and don't make it out. We have to go to every single one of them and invest on the amazing humanity that we can display in this amazing world. That's the only way out, and there's no fucking other way.
Mm-hmm.
If we keep investing in efficiency, we're screwed, because machines are going to do it better and better and better and better.
Mm-hmm.
So who needs a stupid human that it's imitating a machine? Nobody.
But I believe we will also head into an era where humans are seen more precious than ever before as musicians. I mean, because we will really appreciate a person singing, a person playing a piano, a person playing a guitar, a person sweating on stage, a person making mistakes on stage. We will heading into that era where this will be another prosperity for artists to be on stage and to be. I really hope, but I think so, because if we are flooded one day with all this bad, non really interesting music. Not really interesting music. We will look at real musicians again and be very, very happy about to see those musicians on stage. I hope so. This will happen. But on the other hand, who knows? Everything is so shaky. Everything is so lively. I don't know where it's going. And I've done this podcast now since 12 months. I think everything I said in the beginning is totally wrong right now in the first episode and the second episode. And it's funny because when I would listen back to my podcast, I can see a development of me in there too. And that's really funny and interesting to see. And I think that would be a good statement maybe to finish it up here. We should develop a sense for every day, also challenging yourself about ideas about AI and everything that is on us and everything what is happening, which is really happening so fast. I just wrote a piece about it, and I think I finished it in March, and I also think it's so old. It's crazy. So I think we should keep up the pace a little bit and try to find our ways in there, and don't condemn everything, learn about it, and also find a way to embrace the artists who are suffering. Yes, there are artists suffering who don't make much money right now because AI taking over, and we should focus on this, and we should all come together and work for the artist to design a new future, which is also possible, because that is also AI and music is possible in a good sense, and we just have to fight for it. That's what I would say.
Signed, sealed, and approved.
Good. Thank you very much, Alex.
Thank you very much.
That was really fun, and it's a subject you probably could talk forever and ever and ever. It's never ending. Yeah.
No, it's generative and it's adaptive. So it's every day it's a challenge. But isn't that the thrilling part of it? I mean, I really feel in the good way like I am living in a revolution at the moment, and I've never felt so thrilled in my life. So with the good and the bad, but that's what means to be alive, right?
Yes, signed and sealed. What an interesting interview. Thanks again, Alex Braga, for talking to me and getting so deeply into the current state of AI and music these days. This was the new episode of the Illiac Suite. Follow me on Instagram and YouTube. Just type in Illiac Suite Podcast. And if you want to reach out for me, write me mail@denniskastrup.com. mail@denniskastrup.com. You also find my contact details in the notes to this episode as usual. Tune in for the next episode, end of August. Enjoy the summer if you're in the northern hemisphere of this planet. If not, enjoy the winter. Take care and behave.